Hi everyone, welcome to Money Finesse Mindset episode 7. As of the fourth quarter of 2024, US household debt hit a new record, $18.04 trillion. Most of that, about 70%, came from mortgages. Auto loans and student loans each made up 9%, while credit cards accounted for 7%. The remaining 5% came from things like home equity lines of credit and personal loans. Among all these types of debt, how many are you juggling? According to a 2024 study from Experian, one of the big three credit bureaus in the US, Americans spend an average of $1,224 a month on their consumer debt payments. With the average after-tax household income around $4,900, that means nearly a quarter of it went straight to debt. That's a lot. Now imagine something unexpected happens, a layoff, a medical emergency, or rising living costs. All of this can throw off the fragile balance of your finances. Before you know it, you start falling behind, and that's when collections come knocking. What should you know about collections, and more importantly, what can you do about it? I will cover both in this episode, but first, let's talk about the difference between secured and unsecured debt. If you use something valuable as collateral to take out a loan, that's called a secured debt. If you fall behind on payments, you could lose that collateral. Mortgages, auto loans, and home equity lines of credit are all secured debts. Miss enough payments, and the lender could take away your house or your car. Unsecured debt, on the other hand, doesn't involve any collateral. Lenders or creditors trust your promise to repay. Credit cards, student loans, personal loans, and buy now pay later plans are all examples of unsecured debt. As long as you are making payments on time, your debt is considered current, but if you are more than 30 days late, the creditor may start reporting it as past due or delinquent to the credit bureaus. These late payments typically showed up in 30-day increments, like 30, 60, or 90 days past due. At some point, usually after crossing the 180-day mark, the creditor will charge off the debt, writing it off as a loss. But that doesn't mean you're off the hook. A charge-off is just an accounting move. It does not eliminate your debt. Here's the thing. If your accounts are past due or charged off, your credit score takes a hit. And on top of that, debt collection calls, letters, text messages, and emails start rolling in. If you are ever in that situation, it's really important to know your rights and the options you still have. Let's talk about your rights first. There are both federal and state regulations that protect you when it comes to collections. No matter what, debt collectors are not allowed to be abusive, unfair, or deceptive. Those are big words, so let me break down what they really mean with some examples. What counts as abusive behavior? Calling you before 8 o'clock in the morning or after 9 o'clock in the evening in your time zone. Reaching out at a time you have already said is inconvenient. Calling you 7 or more times in 7 days without your prior okay. Using profanity or offensive language. Threatening you with violence or harm. What is considered unfair? Trying to collect more than what you actually owe. Posting about your debt on your social media feeds that others can see. Sending you a letter in an envelope clearly marked as from a debt collector. Intentionally emailing your work address without your permission. And what makes a collector deceptive? Pretending to be an attorney, saying you will be arrested or jailed over the debt. Sending documents that look like they came from a court or a government agency. Please remember, most collectors are professional, but just like in any job, there can be a few bad apples. If you run into one, don't hesitate to ask for a supervisor or file a complaint with a regulator if things don't improve. Now that you know your rights, here are 4 actions you can take. First, repay the full balance. You can do this in a single payment or through a payment plan that stretches over several months or even years. Since you are paying off the full amount, Your credit score will take less of a hit. Second, settle it. This means paying less than the total amount you owe. You can make a single settlement payment or spread settlement payments over time. But because you are not paying the entire balance, this will hurt your credit score more. Also, if the forgiven amount is $600 or higher, you may need to pay income tax. Third, file for bankruptcy. The process is complicated and expensive because you will likely need to hire a bankruptcy attorney. One immediate benefit is that while your case is ongoing, creditors must suspend all collection activities. However, it is important to understand that bankruptcy does not wipe out everything you owe. For example, if you have a mortgage and fall behind on payments, you may still lose your home. Debts like student loans and the recent unpaid taxes are usually not allowed to be part of the bankruptcy filing. Even for the debts that do qualify, you will likely still have to pay back a portion. Once you have done that, the rest of the qualified debt in a bankruptcy filing becomes discharged, meaning you are no longer responsible for it. Keep in mind that bankruptcy delivers a heavy blow to your credit score, and you can feel that impact for up to 10 years. Fourth, do nothing. Creditors do not just forget and move on. They will keep trying. Some will sell their uncollected debt to another company, and that company may resell it later. There is no limit on how many times that can be resold. At any point, any of them may decide to file a lawsuit against you. So if you choose to do nothing, you could remain in collections for a long, long time. If you are sued, things could get even more unpleasant. For example, a portion of your salary may be deducted or garnished to help pay down the debt. Or you may not be able to sell a property you own if a creditor has placed a legal claim on it. Unresolved debt leaves a lasting stain on your credit reports and drags down your credit score for years. Among the 4 actions, this one tends to have the most harmful long-term impact. Being in collections can bring out all sorts of feelings: anxiety, embarrassment, fear, and helplessness, just to name a few. But remember this, federal and state regulators are there to protect your rights. Talk to your creditors, speak with collectors, ask about the kinds of payment plans they can offer, and don't hesitate to negotiate. They want to resolve the debt as much as you do. Also, be cautious of companies that promise to fix your debt problems. Many of them, in my opinion, do more harm than good. You cannot wish a debt away, but you can take charge. And when you do, you will grow from your mistakes and start making better money decisions. You have got what it takes. Just make your first move. Before you realize it, you will be well on your way to a brighter financial future. I hope you find this episode helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have questions or comments? Drop them below. See you again soon.